All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the fourth session of Star Trek Kongo. If you don't know us already, we are an actual play podcast that is tabletop role playing using the Star Trek Adventures rule system by Modiphius Entertainment. Our target era is 2415 or post STO, and our ship, the U.S.S. Kongo, is a Trident class that is part of Babylon Fleet out of Deep Space October. Now, what this means is that this is in a shared universe, the ELH verse, whatever you want to call it, but you don't really need to have watched any of my other content to enjoy this game. But if you do want to play catch up, the VODs are on YouTube and most of the popular podcast solutions. It's already happened, but I'll say it anyway. The only announcement I have this week is that there are new channel point redeems. Specifically, there are ways for you to give me threat and complications and the player's momentum. And we already have one of each on the board. The players have already gotten their one momentum, and I know exactly what the complication will be when we start play. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's not just for this game. The point redeems are for all of my games. And also, thank you for the hydrating the bits. Good way to start the stream. But with that out of the way, let's just go around and have the players introduce themselves, starting with the captain.
Hello everyone, my name is Matthew. I play Captain Lee Tobin, an intensely religious Bajoran on his first command.
Oh, sorry. Ensign Jaro, Chief Engineer. Yeah, and my name's John, playing Jaro. Yeah, that's what it is.
Hey guys, I'm Aaron. I'm Lieutenant Commander / Doctor Keeve Datig, Tellarite First Officer / Science Officer, and all around curmudgeon.
Yeah, sorry. I'm Watney. I'm playing Dr. Alel, the Chief Medical Officer of the U.S.S. Kongo, and you can find me on Twitch at Doc Watney.
And I'm Dag. I play Lieutenant Fives, a former Borg drone returned to service under Captain Lee, trying to redeem himself from his assimilating ways. Currently caught in a jam of linguistics down on the planet. If you want to talk about it, hit me up on Twitter at TrekNexus.
And if you don't know me by now, I'm ELH the Game Master, and let's just go ahead and start play. And to do that, I believe, Captain, you have an opening log, or at least a supplemental one.
Captain's Log, Supplemental. The Kongo has uncovered a pre-warp civilization, the Ulki, who are in the process of being uplifted from a coal-era civilization to something approximating warp capability by a second species known as the Zavok. Although stymied by failures of the Universal Translator, Commander Datig and the rest of the senior staff are on the planet in conversation with the Ulki's queen. Apparently, there have been pervasive miscommunications regarding proper nouns and tone. While they engage with the Ulki, I am preparing to facilitate a cultural exchange with the Zavok's captain. They provided us with basic information regarding diet and rituals so that we can accommodate them and avoid any potential cultural faux pas. But I can't shake the feeling that there's something deeply amiss here. We've intercepted ambiguous radio transmissions from Ulki Prime that suggest that the relationship between these two species may be less anodyne than we've been led to believe. I shall have to keep that in mind during my negotiations with the Zavok captain. End log.
Very nice. And our first scene today, before we deal with the away mission, is we're going to cut to the transporter room aboard the Kongo. And right now, I have a very important question for anybody who is not Matthew. Would anybody want to play Ensign Shitalik? All you really have to do is play them as a bumbling ensign that tries her best. That's literally all the notes I have for her, so if somebody wants to take the reins, you can, but otherwise I will.
I would love to see your interpretation, ELH.
Okay. It's okay. So yeah, Captain Lee, you walk in. Are you in your dress uniform or regular uniform? You know, what are you wearing?
I think that Lee has spent much of the intervening period studying the cultural database that has been submitted to him and arranging for a kind of plethora of different, meal options and the like to share as finger food, basically with the the captain who's going to be beaming over. So he would still be in his uniform. He hasn't had a chance to change.
Okay. So as you walk in and you nod at the ensign, this is the complication, by the way. She taps a few buttons on the transporter. Transporter doesn't activate. She pushes a few more buttons. And at this point, you're sort of like looking back at her like, what are you doing? And she just looks back at you and says, I don't know what to tell you, sir. I literally cannot get a lock on this captain.
Have you reconfigured the annular confinement beam in order to account for the solar radiation that we detected earlier on in the system?
Sir, no offense, but I've tried literally doing everything but going out in a rowboat and fetching the captain manually.
You do understand that we're not in water. I suppose you're using rowboat as some kind of analogy?
Is that not a human expression? I thought that was...
Seeing as neither of us is human, that's not exactly going to be a particularly, enlightening metaphor for either of us. Nonetheless, have you contacted engineering and inquired as to the nature of the difficulty?
Yes, sir. And their response was, there is no problem. I mean, come over here and look, sir.
All right, and Lee will straighten his shirt and gently sort of nudge her aside to take a look at the console.
All right. And of course she does gracefully step aside. And when you look at the console, Captain Lee, I'd like you to roll me an Insight Engineering difficulty of 2.
And I will spend one of those momentum. And I should have a focus of materialization systems.
That you do. All right, that's a whole lot of nothing, unfortunately. So I think you look at it, you look at the readouts, and yeah, she's telling the truth. There is absolutely nothing wrong here.
I'm going to use my determination there. Well, let me see. Do I have any kind of applicable value here?
This is how you get your players to use their determinations. You just throw transporter problems at them, and then they have to make their space magic work again.
You know what? I do not have any applicable value here, I don't think. So
You don't have like something profits something?
Well, I have
Get 'em?
faith before duty. I don't think that really applies here because my religion does not involve the use of the transporter. But
That you know of.
What about micro wormholes? Wormholes?
that's
Bajoran?
I like that. But okay. Well, Ensign, it does seem that you're right. I can't detect any kind of malfunction within the transporter control systems. Take a look at the pattern buffer sequencers over there. I'm going to arrange for a more, well, I guess a less technologically advanced solution to this problem. And he will tap his comm badge, Ensign Rowan.
Yes, sir. Sorry, mid-meal. One moment. And you just hear the clattering of dishes and the sounds of someone hastily de-replicating things. She says, yes, sir. Yes, sir. What's going on? Hi, sir. Hi.
Hello, Ensign. I would like you to take a shuttle over to the Zavik starship in order to retrieve the away party that they were going to send to our ship. We appear to be having some difficulties with the transporter systems.
Sure. I can do that, sir. How many am I picking up?
It should be no more than 5. However, they didn't indicate how many officers would be accompanying their captain.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there as an option, sir. We have a very shiny fighter in the bay that I could use.
I would prefer it if you took something that was slightly less threatening to their ship.
Okay. I'll take a Type 9.
Very good. I will inform the Zavik of this new arrangement.
All right. And as you tap your comm badge and get ready to tell Captain Nate what's going on, we're going to now cut back down to the away team that is on the surface of Olki Prime. And we are going to more or less resume right where we left off last session, where the Queen has more or less asked if you wanted to see the quote-unquote sacrificial pit. But the sacrificial pit line is something that only Jaro and Fives hear, because they're the ones messing with their universal translators. Everybody else hears the word gardens.
I believe when we ended off, it was with them saying, "Wait, sacrificial pit," and then like out loud. So I think maybe we all do kind of know about it.
I'll leave it up to you to decide.
Am I misremembering?
No, I think you're right. I don't think it's. I think they've just sort of randomly shouted sacrificial pit for the rest of you, and you have no idea what that means.
So where are we exactly right now?
You are before the queen in the Oki Prime throne room. Gothic architecture, Corinthian columns, red banners, the works.
Ensign, did you hear that?
Hear what?
The thing about
Oh yeah,
where
yeah,
they want to take us.
yeah. I'm hoping we don't have the, well, I'm hoping the translator isn't working quite right.
Yeah,
But we should at least tell somebody.
I'm gonna lean on that.
Alel is still eating the food that she got earlier, even though it's technically considered like dog food to them.
Fives will sidle up to the lieutenant commander.
And she's like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the gardens." Diplomatic.
Now, just so you know, we've been working on the translator, and gardens with the new translation matrix came out something more like sacrificial pit.
Oh, that's nothing, I'm sure. Just give it some of that good old percussive maintenance. It'll be fine.
Ensign
Sure.
Prim, please try to contain yourself.
Look at the cultural rituals we could observe. What might they be sacrificing? Would it be other sapient beings, perhaps?
Maybe we should go find out.
That's an excellent suggestion, Lieutenant.
That's what I was trying to do. Let's go, everyone.
I, for one,
moment.
am following Alel.
And yeah, Datig's gonna slap his comm badge. Away team to Kongo.
Yes, Lieutenant Commander, go ahead. This is the captain.
Captain, I request that you keep a transporter lock on us at all times. We're potentially going to some sacrificial pit. There's been some difficulty with the translation matrix, and I don't want any misunderstandings to be terminal.
Well, Doctor, I would very much like to be able to accommodate you. However, the transporter systems are currently non-functional, along with most of the other things on the ship, including the sensors. I am afraid that more careful maintenance has to be put into place by our chief engineer.
That's it. Ensign Jaro's not allowed to leave Kongo ever again.
Well, thank you, Captain. We'll just have to make do.
Captain, are you coming down in a shuttle?
I was about to say, I can dispatch a shuttle to the surface so that it can be available to you should you need to effect an escape. I'm sure that's not going to be the case, but...
I'm sure it's fine, sir. They seem super friendly. You should come down. I don't think you want to miss this. The food's really good, too.
Lieutenant Commander, I believe that you had an objection.
Yes, sir. I don't think that you should come down here. As a matter of fact, I think you're just fine where you are. Until I'm satisfied that there's no imminent danger to you or to us, I would much prefer you stay out of harm's way.
That would be the matter of appropriate
Captain,
protocol.
if you need me back up to the Congo to work on some things, I'd be happy to come back up.
Lieutenant Commander, do you believe that you will require our chief engineer's services on the planet?
I mean, not unless their Corinthian columns need calibrating in some way.
What? Is that an innuendo?
Fives will whisper to Ensign Jaro, I knew you were just trying to get out of this.
It's just not my thing.
You know, Datic just wants all of this. What's this called again? She asked the queen. Like,
And
the
you're
food.
referring to the food?
Yeah.
And she simply replies, it's basic meat.
He just wants all this meat for himself, Captain. Truly, I really am not getting bad vibes.
What are you...
Well, it's probably a good thing it's not your decision, Lieutenant, or rather, Doctor.
Okay, fine. This is like a diplomatic thing. They're being weird.
I'll keep you posted, Captain. Away team out.
Thank you, Doctor. Best of luck.
Please send that shuttle too for Ensign Jaro.
It's already on its way, Doctor.
Thank you, sir.
All right, just so you guys know, that's your 2 Type 9s. If you want to dispatch any more small craft, you gotta use the Banshee, just so you know. But as you finish that awkward conversation, you suddenly realize you're still in the throne room, surrounded by smallish Ulki the size of hobbits. And the Lamias more or less just look at you like, what was that all about?
That was our traditional hesitation ritual.
And the Queen Elusa, sort of leans forward and goes, hesitation ritual?
Lieutenant.
Yes, sir.
And he'll just turn and lean in. I would appreciate it if you don't lie to a foreign dignitary. And he'll turn around and say, standard communication to our ship. Not any particular ritual. My officer just has a strange sense of humor.
And she repeats the word humor, but again, there's that sort of static that indicates that there's a problem. And she says, humor. Yes, we are familiar with this concept. We employ it quite well. We actually have many different plays that exuberate this humor you speak of.
Alel like nudges. What is it, Prin?
Yes.
Prin, hey, do you hear that?
Yes, I'm not exactly sure that they're talking about plays, and Cardassian plays don't really... We don't do comedies. But...
Really?
Well, you're a funny enough guy, so...
I mean, a couple of those Enigma tales are hilarious.
I take that as deeply insulting, Commander, but... The Enigma tale is one of the most resplendent and respected forms of entertainment in the entire quadrant, beyond
Perhaps
the quadrant.
we can get into that at another time.
Look, Fives, are you serious? Like, the captain didn't want to come down here? Look how small these guys are.
Shh. Let's just go with them. They're staring at us.
Yeah, they're staring at you. And their snake hair is staring at you, too.
If you wouldn't mind, we would love to see your gardens now.
And the Queen rises from her throne and says, very well, you and you with me. The rest of you do whatever it is you do. I honestly don't know half your names anyway. And the Queen, flanked by 2 guards, does leave the throne room, actually kind of slithering past you. And it is one of those things where the door to the throne room is moderately well-sized, like it'll fit you guys, but the corridor beyond is more or less hobbit-sized. So some of you are having to like do the Gandalf thing where you're like bent over, or you're like almost on all fours crawling through these corridors. And as you go, the Queen leads you to the right, then the left, then 2 rights, and then straight on. You start to get a little lost, but eventually you emerge somewhere that doesn't really match with the rest of the castle that she seems to have. Specifically, you arrive in a room that smells very strongly of sulfur, and the cause of that, or the source of it, is very readily apparent. It basically opens up, the corridor opens up to a large sort of hole in the ground that is spewing both magma and other viscous hot liquid. And the Queen sort of goes to the opposite side of this large hole in the ground. It's maybe, say, about 10 meters across, so 10-meter diameter. So it's actually kind of small, all things considered. But she kind of goes to the opposite side of this this ring from you all and sort of spreads her arm wide and says, This is our gardens. Is this what you wish to see?
Very impressive. Ensign Prin, would you please take some detailed scans of this room?
Of course. Your Majesty, might you also describe their cultural significance to you?
All right. And as she launches into a long-winded explanation about what they use the garden/sacrificial pit of, I do want to turn to Jaro and Fives, because this is another opportunity for you all to make progress on your extended task to fix the Universal Translator. As a reminder, your current work track is 6 out of 14. Your difficulty is a 4, and you need 3 more breakthroughs in order to finish this extended task.
All right.
And the one difference from last session is that I did an oopsie and forgot that con is kind of important when it comes to culture. So it can be either a control plus con or a control plus engineering at this point.
I will do control plus con. And
I can
let's see.
assist with control engineering.
Sure.
It looks like the lingua code here got scrambled. Maybe if we defragment that, we can get the flux coupler working again.
Well, I was just thinking we're using the wrong. I think we're using the wrong phonetic base. So, here, let's see, and let's see. I am going to spend a determination.
Okay.
And we're going to use, because this is a situation that I think really calls out. We're going to do what would Jonna do.
Okay.
And control con. And I have to give you
1 momentum, 1 threat for a third die.
All right, 1 momentum, 1 threat. There you go.
All right, and we need to see 4 successes across the board, so let's see what you get first on your roll. Survey says...
I guess clicking the thing to roll would be a good thing.
Yeah, it might
Remind
help.
me, focuses on assists, yes or no?
Yes. All right, looks like... Well, there's your 4 successes. There's 5 successes, but there is a complication. And what I'm going to say is go ahead and roll your work track, but I think I know what I want the complication to be.
And that's how many dice again?
It is 2 plus your con score in this instance, so...
So 7.
I believe that would be 7, yes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that would be a grand total of 6 work done, which is enough for another breakthrough. And what I'm going to say here is the Queen's speech does change. So right now, for sake of imagination, right now she's like, and yes, we tend these gardens very well. They're very well visited. We bring every dignitary that comes through to see them. They're a great sort of honor, things like that. But Jaro and Fives, when you realign the matrix, what you hear instead is, and this is where we handle our waste. I'm not really sure why you wanted to see our waste pit, but far be it from me to... And then the complication is that the ground shakes a little bit, and Fives, you're holding the tricorder that you've done all your work on. It goes scattering to the ground, and you start to dive after it, and it just starts tumbling towards the pit. And Fives, I'm going to give you a fitness security here. Difficulty of 3. If you pass, you catch the tricorder, and it does not go into the lava.
Not again.
Just like that gypsy woman said.
Mm-hmm.
Fitness security?
Yep.
It's all our work. Don't let it go.
Going with no focus on this one for fun.
Nice.
Oh, God.
So there's another complication. So I think what happens is you go diving for the tricorder. It goes into the lava. You manage to stop yourself in time, but to say you're pulling almost a Anakin Skywalker, where part of your uniform is now caught fire from the heat, and you're now trying to put yourself out rapidly. And the Queen just sort of looks at you all and says, Is this another... Is this humor? Is this a ritual? I don't understand.
No, that... Sir? And Fives will just look at the lieutenant commander.
Oh, you're still on fire. You don't get to just pat it out. You're still
Alel's
on
gonna
fire.
help him. Help
Likewise,
him.
yes.
Pat, 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 pat.
No, Your Majesty, this was not humor. We were attempting to align our translator to more accurately communicate. And I'm afraid now our efforts have been set back considerably. Mr. Fives, Mr. Jarrow, how much do you remember
Oh well,
about
I
the
think
aligning?
I could actually get us most of the way back on mine, and he's already starting to work on trying to replicate what they've already done.
Right.
just
And
think-
actually, what I'm going to say is it's because you spent determination, I'm not just going to like yoink it totally away from you. You do get a majority of your work back, but what the complication's going to do to your roll here is instead of it now being a difficulty of 3, it's going to go back up to a difficulty of 4.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to say that if you want, you can attempt once more before we scene change back up to the Kongo.
All right. All right. Well, I've done what I think I can. All right. So, what was your idea again, Fives? And I'll hand Fives my my tricorder and say, "Don't drop this one."
Yeah. No. We'll just turn on the implant.
Well, perhaps next time we can arrange to have some snaps on your sleeves so that if you drop it the next time, but it won't
Snaps.
go all the way away.
That's a really
Or-
good technological innovation.
Or
Alel's
Velcro.
gonna lean over and look in a bit.
Yeah, bubbling soup, very hot.
Well-
So Jaro will take the assist on the last task here.
All right.
Ugh.
We got the new language base, and I think it's sequencing better than what we had before, but I still think this lingua code scramble needs to be realigned. So I'm just gonna flip some bits over here. I think this is gonna do it.
Now, this chamber has a mildly unpleasant odor.
Really, it's not so bad for me, and the temperature is just lovely. Don't you agree?
It's actually quite livable.
Yeah, I mean a little bit less moisture, but the dry
Yeah,
dry
we
heat
need
would
it.
be nice.
It needs to be drier. Yes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So, Dag, you want to spend that momentum for a third die, or you want to roll it straight?
I'm gonna
Or
spend that momentum.
determination.
Do control security here.
It would still be control engineering because you're still working on the matrix itself.
Right. Okay. So control engineering,
Mm-hmm.
and I am going to spend my determination here. The defining principle is to the truth, and it's really hard to get at the truth when these universal translators keep goofing up.
Fair enough.
Okay. Control engineering. 3 dice using that momentum.
Momentum and a threat. Yep.
And can we call, since I'm working on a language matrix, can we call that
You call that a focus.
sociocultural?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Hey, that's 6 successes. And then apparently Jaro
Okay.
rolls a complication. So,
Worth it.
all right. Well, Dag, before we do another complication, you need to roll me now 5 challenge dice. And in order to succeed on this extended task, you need to literally roll 4 successes on these challenge die.
Wunderbar.
Let's do it.
Are the challenge dice? There we go. In bar, challenge dice. And how many did you say?
5. And you need to get at least 4 to succeed here.
But you can re-roll zeros with
Yeah.
one of the momentums.
We got momentum back, so we're good there.
All right. Hey, that's the 4 you need. So
God.
it's
heaven.
one of those things where, Fives and Jaro, you guys are working together, and then suddenly it all clicks. There's a burst of static across everybody's universal translator, and you all are beginning to hear the Queen much more clearly and much more, how to put this, without as many pauses or without as much sort of delay between what they say and what you actually hear. Because that's how the universal translator works, is it's personal, kind of an implant in your ear that sort of acts as a buffer, et cetera, et cetera. But when it basically reconfigures itself, the queen looks at all of you and says, are we done here? I mean, don't get me wrong, if you really love waste, I'm not going to tell you no, but it far be it for me to say that's very weird.
Excuse me, this is your waste disposal or treatment plant?
And her eyes actually widen a little bit. Yes, I've been trying to tell you that for the past 20 minutes.
We thought this was a garden.
Oh. No, we actually have a very nice garden. If that's what you wanted, I could have... yeah, you know what? I see what this is, because I'm understanding you a lot more clearly. Did you fix your translator?
I think we finally did, yes. It's nice to actually be able to converse with you and get your tone.
That's good, because when you asked for the snake food, I was very concerned about the type of people I was seeing.
I'm sorry, snake food?
Yeah, the food you asked for earlier, it's for these, and she points at her snake hair.
Oh.
It's quite delicious. It tastes like chicken.
I have no knowledge of this chicken, but I'll take your word for it.
It is poultry from the planet Earth.
Okay, still don't know what it is, but I'll take your word for it.
Well, we consider it a compliment. For many cultures in the Federation, they would not choose to feed their pets or companion animals or creatures with food of less quality than they would eat themselves.
And she actually starts laughing, and it's not like a sinister laugh or anything. It's actually quite lyrical in a way. And she says, oh, I think I see the reason why this has happened. You, and she points at one of her guard. Hilda, was it? Go and fetch the tricorder, if you would be so kind. And when she says tricorder, it actually no like glitch or anything. And what Hilda does is she doesn't like jump into the pit or anything, but she goes over to one of the walls. So if you imagine the walls are still sort of that stone of the castle. But she goes over to one of the walls and sort of moves a stone aside and pulls out what looks to be almost like a contemporary cell phone of today's world. And she brings it over to the queen, and the queen takes it, and she sort of waves the sort of rectangular device over the pit, and she says, well, I don't think I'll be able to retrieve your equipment, but the answer is what I thought it would be. You, if I understood correctly, you had heard our radio dramas?
Yes, we took that to be a distress call of some kind.
Oh, no. That's just sort of our entertainment. We have a very lively and a very imaginative artist base.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, are they... do you serialize them?
In what way?
Well, are they ongoing? Do you tell stories over time, or are they each self-contained?
It depends on the series, really. I'd be happy to share them with you. Perhaps not here, though.
Yes, it's perhaps in if possible, in those actual lovely gardens that you have.
Of course, I'd be more than happy to take you there. But is he supposed to be smoking? And you all look over at Fives, who at this point, the complication is you caught on fire again because it's funny. I'm sorry.
Gosh, dang it.
These uniforms are supposed to be fire retardant. What the heck?
Just Dotic's gonna give him a few slaps, dude. Like maybe, like after he's out, just a few more. Like,
Are you burned at all?
I'm gonna say it's just his pride that's hurt here, and his uniform.
Gotta get another uniform when we get back up to the ship.
Easily done. New tricorder too.
All right, and as you all are taken to the actual gardens, we're going to now cut up to the Congo, where I don't really have a shuttle bay for you to welcome them in, but let's just go to the bridge for this one, because at this point you have more or less been able to bring the captain and his delegation aboard, Captain Lee. And right now you're sort of showing them some of the main features of the Congo. So let me just grab Mr. Nate, throw him on the screen, and I'm going to let you describe the bridge in your own way as you sort of step on onto the bridge.
Lee would have been observing Captain Nate throughout the exchange just to see what kind of mannerisms the species has, to try to make any inferences about, I guess, like greetings or like compulsions about, I don't know, physical proximity or the like, any kind of read they can get of the species and their sort of the way they take up space, in essence.
Sure.
When they get to the bridge, he would then indicate the science stations first. And as you can see here, we have some of the most advanced sensor systems in our Starfleet. This vessel was designed for deep space exploration missions of the sort that we're on now, that led us to detect the transmissions from Ulki Prime that, in fact, introduced us to the culture on that planet.
And a few things I would say here as Captain Nate literally glides over to the console to get a closer look. You're not really sure that they're terrestrial bound, as in they don't really walk so much as they just sort of float around, or at least that's the sense you've been getting. And they do respect personal boundaries, but amongst themselves, they tend to go into these like tight-knit groups, almost like schools of fish as they're traveling around. And the other thing that you're noticing is that, again, they have no mouths, so you haven't really been able to determine where the sound is coming from when they speak, but you do notice that their head crests do light up just a little bit when they, communicate with you. But Captain Nate sort of glides on over and sort of waves a robed hand, or at least to assume is a hand, over the console, and he says, "Interesting. I notice you're not compensating for the time dilation effect of the star, though."
We've been having a number of technological difficulties with both our sensor systems and other features of the ship. We haven't been able to detect any sort of temporal dilation.
Well, I don't know if it would be appropriate to call it a temporal dilation. It's what's the word? And he turns and has like a hushed conversation with his fellows, and he comes back and says, I believe the word I should have used was subspace, not time. My apologies."
Is this some sort of subspace compression wave, an oscillation of subspace that's resulting from unusual radiation from the sun?
In a sense, honestly, I'm not very much a scientist myself. I just sort of lead my fellows and get them where they need to go. But my understanding is that there's a unique property to this sun that bends subspace. So if that's what you mean, then yes.
My people have encountered a number of bizarre and fascinating subspace anomalies that have had myriad effects on our systems. If you would be willing to share what data you've accumulated about this phenomenon, I'm sure that many officers in my crew would be able to make the necessary modifications.
Well, of course, it is one of our main principles as Zavik that we are an open society. We are very much willing to share whatever information we have, not only with new species, but with your Federation as well.
That is a very welcoming attitude. In most respects, when it comes to the open exchange of information, the Federation has a more cautious policy, but that has to do largely with our experiences over centuries as an interstellar polity.
Well, do you have something called a ready room? I wanted to see where you do most of your work, Captain.
Of course. If you wish, your fellow officers can liaise with Ensign Rowan and a few of my other crew to discuss the data that you're going to transfer to us, and we can retire to my ready room.
And he waves another robed appendage, and the group splits off to go talk to Rowan. And Rowan's like, "Oh, okay. Let's go over there, and we'll settle this however we can." Thanks, Captain.
You're welcome, Ensign. Be sure to contact engineering if you need any assistance making the necessary modifications.
On it, sir. And before we do the ready room scene, we're actually going to go down to the gardens of Volky Prime, which I honestly didn't think you guys would ever go to the gardens themselves. So we're just going to have to use a little bit of theater of the mind for this one. But basically the gardens are almost, if I were to borrow from Avatar for a moment, they're almost Pandora-esque, is specifically in the way the trees grow, the way the ivy sort of cascades up wood, the way the rocks and the carefully sculpted waterfalls pour and otherwise form a natural river. It's actually a somewhat, almost, I want to say, Federation level feat of not agriculture, but of geosculpting, I think is the word for it. But as the queen leads you all in, she says, well, as you can see, here is our gardens. It is something that I take personal pride in. I dedicate many of my hours when I'm not having to serve my people to making sure that this space is as welcoming and as much an art piece as it is a place to relax.
Do you dedicate any of the garden to medicinal permaculture?
Medicinal. Yes, I understand what you mean now. No, we don't really grow anything that we would use for medicine here. I don't even keep animals in this garden best I can. I mean, we do have avian creatures that cross-pollinate and keep the plant life healthy. But, and because someone just redeemed a complication, the complication is that, Jaro, you feel a tap on the back of your neck.
Oh, great.
No.
He reaches back and just very carefully, because he just heard about bees, basically, and he's just going to gently wipe off his back.
So when you put your hand back there, oh, hey, you got a good one too, so you guys get a momentum. When you reach your hand back there, your hand brushes up against and maybe closes on something tribble-sized and is very, very fluffy.
Doctor?
Yes?
And he, just slowly turns around to show her whatever this is.
And as you all look to see what the hell it is actually not unlike a big old, fat bumblebee, like the classic bumblebee. Only this one is red instead of the yellow. And it is, as I said, the size of a tribble. So it's a very, very large bee. But it has probably about 6 sets of wings instead of the normal 2. And its compound eyes, it actually has 4 of them instead of the 2 that a normal bee has.
Your Majesty, is this a dangerous organism?
No. That's one of the creatures I talked about.
It's quite adorable.
Well,
yeah. Can we get it off my neck, please?
Alel will try to do that.
And as you reach for it, the queen goes, let's, even with the translation matrix now working, there's still bits of difficulty. Let me think how to say this. The bee, as you call it, is... And she struggles trying to find the right word. And Alel, if you would like to roll me a insight and medicine here, difficulty of 2, and xenobiology would apply as a focus. And you get 3 successes, which means you get a point of momentum.
Okay.
Based on your visual observation and maybe a swipe of the tricorder, you can see that this bee is molting. So basically it's gonna shed its shell, I can speak today, and is going to leave it behind as it then flies away, presumably.
Oh, it must be molting. I don't want to disturb it. Sorry, Jaro. You might just have to wait until it's done. It could damage it.
How long does that take?
Well, typically Federation, texts, molting takes anywhere from 2 to 200 hours. So was that helpful?
He just closes his eyes and just stands there like a statue.
Yes, well, you'll just have to bear with it for now, Ensign. And I suppose that means until it's finished, you won't be able to take the shuttle back to the ship. So try not to move around quite so much. And if at all possible, avoid sweating.
And with that, some sweat
I was gonna say.
starts to form over his brow.
Are you feeling okay, Jaro?
I have an unknown thing on my neck. Of course I'm not feeling okay.
It's not dangerous. It's okay.
We're here to seek out new life.
It's adorable, too. I mean, just think of it as having some kind of kitten around your neck.
I have to agree. Its assimilation quotient is really low. You're fine.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Oh, and before I forget, now that we've fixed our communication problem, I have some questions about some scan data that we picked up before we beamed down to your planet.
Okay. Can you be more specific?
We seemed to detect medium to high energy output lasers that were being used on life forms.
Ah, yes. I was wondering about that. It didn't make much sense what you were saying earlier, that we were using them in live fire exercises or something to that effect.
Right, we took, I suppose in the context of your radio dramas, we took it to be the sign of some sort of conflict. I assume that is not the case.
No, we don't have any ongoing wars. We don't really have any terrorist actions to speak of. We've been peaceful for about 100 years, far before the Zavik came along.
Excellent, and I believe some of my officers made the assumption that perhaps these lasers were used in food preparation or processing.
Let's just say that creature, that Smarnock, and that does not translate. That literally is what she says, is Smarnock. That Smarnock is a juvenile. The larger ones grow to, I don't really know a point of comparison, but if you'll imagine that one, and she points at fives, about 3 of him, and that's how big they get. And yes, we do eat those. So we do process them in a humane manner.
I see. Well, I think that clears that up, and he'll just turn everybody into questions.
Your Majesty, do you feel like your species is ready for this kind of technology? How do you feel about the Zavik coming in and bestowing you with this tech?
Well, I think it's a great honor to join the greater galactic community. I just simply wonder if we'll have to be the small ones out there due to our size. And she gives a big old grin, and some of her snake hair hisses at the attempt at a joke.
Fair enough.
But yeah, no one else has any other questions, it is at this point that the shuttle, piloted by a unknown ensign, if I need to give him a name, I can, but an ensign sort of flies the shuttle in, and you guys look up and sort of see it floating above, maybe about 20 meters up. And the door opens, and the ensign kind of leans out and shouts, "I'm here for your ride, sir," or "sirs." And the queen sort of looks at all of you and says, "Oh, are you not going to do that transporter thing again?"
There's apparently been some sort of malfunction with our matter transporter, but perhaps later. In fact, it was only Ensign Jaro who was going to leave. The rest of us would like to stay if that's permissible.
I certainly have no issue with it. Oh, look, the Smarnock has left. And Jaro, there's a sickening, almost like jelly-like sensation on your neck. And then the giant space bee flies away.
God.
Okay, don't move. Don't move.
Has to
Dr.
be
Alel,
reserved.
can we get the sample?
Oh, yes. She'll
Wonderful.
take out her med kit.
Even if we can get the entire thing as intact as we possibly can, this could be a great opportunity.
Well, we need permission to do that.
Okay, should we ask the?
That's your job.
Yes, of course. My curiosity gets away from me sometimes. Your Majesty, would you mind if we kept this shed exoskeleton for scientific research?
Scientific research? Sure, but I tell you, it'd go better on some meat. We actually use it as a seasoning.
Oh.
Scientific research, then snack.
Alel like looks at Dotig like one or the other. I don't know which is best.
Hey,
Research.
Probably put it on that popcorn.
Listen, if we can get detailed enough scans, we can program its pattern into a replicator and have as much as you want.
Jaro
But is
just
it
reaches up and
authentic?
grabs it and hands it to LL. Here, just take it.
Okay. She'll take it. She'll be like, "You can't just replicate it. It wouldn't be authentic."
And Jaro's like almost sprinting for the shuttle.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where there's like a comical ladder that's rolled out of the shuttle and you're climbing up it rapidly, just getting out of the gardens.
Before he does that, I'm just gonna, Ensign, I haven't dismissed you yet.
Yeah, yep. And he just gets on the ship.
All right, you're dismissed. Fine.
Right. And with that, we're going to do the ready room scene, and then we'll take our break. So we're going to go to the ready room, where Dotig is not there, but Captain Lee and good old Captain Nate are. So as you all enter in to your ready room, Captain Lee, Captain Nate sort of looks around, or at least his head moves to indicate that he's looking around, and he sort of cocks his head to the side, almost like a dog would, and says, "Interesting, I would have thought you would have had more readouts, more consoles. This seems more like a recreational space."
Not particularly. I do have my console here, but most of my reading is handled by way of the text that you can see over there, and he gestures towards the large bookshelves.
And he floats over and extends the roped appendage and grabs one of the books and sort of looks it over, kind of, holds it out and looks it over, and then carefully puts it back and says, "Interesting, you store information on paper. We did that many, many, many years ago."
We do. It's not necessary. We have vast databanks on board this vessel that can be easily accessed by way of this computer terminal. However, the tangibility of an object, reading something that you hold in your hands, gives you a sense of connection to the past. It reminds you of the generations and the knowledge that came before you. It grounds you, at least in my perspective.
Very enlightened way to look at things. But perhaps I should get to the point. Tell me, how advanced would you rate Federation medicine?
Federation medicine, among the species that we've encountered, is among some of the most advanced in the quadrant.
Well, I hesitate to ask this because of what you've said so far about the Federation sharing information and technology, but I must confess that some of my officers have come down with an ailment that we have been unable to decipher or treat. And I can sense the first question you're going to ask. These are the same officers that initially made first contact.
Have they been appropriately quarantined, and is there any possibility that the officers that you have brought with you may be carriers of this disease?
That I'm not sure of. All we know is that, well, normally you can see we are like this, and he sort of motions at his body, but the disease causes them to turn into this, and the normal, like, pale skin and red of Captain Nate turns into more of a black and a blue. So almost goes from a light to a dark, if you will. And he's only really able to, like, mimic this for like a few seconds before he kind of has to stop and shakes his head and says, we have rudimentary capability of our, what's the word, pigmentation. This disease, ailment, whatever it is causing not only that to go haywire, but it is, let's just say, two of my officers are in critical condition.
I see. In light of the fact that we don't know whether you or the officers you brought with you have been infected, I hope you won't mind if I order some of my crew to implement a quarantine of the areas that you've traversed, if you'll give me a moment.
Go right ahead. I would apologize if it turns out I'm a carrier or that anyone I've brought is a carrier.
It would have been much appreciated had you informed us of this potential contamination. Nonetheless, we'll move forward as best we can, and within the boundaries and guidelines of the Federation Charter, we will offer you what assistance we can.
That is much appreciated. Thank you.
And Lee will contact Rowan and have them sort of quarantine the bridge temporarily, and then contact sickbay and have them begin to isolate the various different sections that we have visited and begin to scan the areas that they've traversed.
Gotcha. And our sort of last quick scene before we go to break is Jaro, you're on the shuttle coming back up. And as everybody else in the away team sort of watches the shuttle ascend back up through the atmosphere out to the Kongo, Alel, you notice a dark pigmentation spot on Dotig's neck, kind of at the same position that Jaro's bee friend was at. And that's where we're going to take our 5 to 10 minute break. So yeah, back in a bit. See you soon. All right, welcome back, everybody. And before we continue, I got to shout out. We have an anonymous gifter of 5 subs. Thank you so much for that. We also have bits from Chubby Kobold. Thank you so much for that. And if you're just tuning in, all things have started to look brighter for the crew of the Kongo. They figured out their translation problems. They're able to establish a correct dialogue with the Olki Queen. However, a situation has developed in orbit where Captain Nate of the Zavik has communicated that apparently there is some form of a disease, affliction, or some medical concern that is causing some of his crew, and potentially crew of the Kongo in time, to suffer some form of, well, I don't want to say death, but unpleasantness. Also, thank you again for a gifted sub, Soviet Menace. Thank you. But where we're going to resume is actually a little bit of theater of the mind for the moment, because I want to establish where everybody, and we're just going to throw bits at me now, so I can't talk. Thank you so much for the bits. I really appreciate it. What was I saying? Yes. So at this point, my question goes to Lee. Lee, would you recall the away team at this point, or would you at least fill them in?
Oh, I would have contacted them as they were they're making their way to the ship to inform them of the potential medical crisis, given that our chief medical officer and our first officer, who is also a doctor, are there. And I would have them go through decontamination as well, sort of quarantine themselves before they rejoin the ship's population.
All right. Well, while you play out that conversation of recalling them, I'm going to look over here at the gift subs and the hype train that we apparently have going. Nice. Thank you for that, by the way. I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I think it's probably moments after Alel that you notice the black patch on the back of Dotik's neck that you get a call from the captain.
Captain Lee to Dr. Alel.
Go ahead, sir.
I have just been informed by Captain Nate of the Chem that their species has been exposed to some form of unknown pathogen, or perhaps an allergic reaction, some form of debilitating disease. If this was due to their contact with the Ulke, we have to take every possible precaution. I've already quarantined the areas of the ship to which that have been exposed to them, and I would like you to decontaminate yourself and the rest of the away team on your return.
Aye, sir. While she's listening, she's going to be scanning Dotig without asking him.
Roll me a reason medicine difficulty of 2 here. And I tell you what, I'm going to spend some threat that I'm going to make the complication range a 18 to 20. Ooh.
Okay, I would like to use a momentum. And xenobiology
would apply.
Great.
Well, that's well, I have good news and bad news. The bad news is you didn't succeed. The good news is that's a level 5 hype train is what that is. So small
joy.
positives.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
All aboard.
Love
it. She taps Dotik on the shoulder. Sir, looks like you got a little something going on here. I'm sure you heard the captain.
Yes. Am I showing some sort of sign of outward infection? I feel fine.
Yeah, I'm seeing it too, but there must be some kind of interference still with my medical tricorder, so we'll have to give you a more thorough scan up on the ship.
GM, I also have a medical tricorder. Can I just scan myself?
You certainly can. Same difficulty, same complication range.
All right. Yes, Dottie just sort of pulls his tricorder out. We'll just see about this. And just scans himself.
I guess I'm back here.
And sorry, you said that's reason medicine?
You got it.
I also have xenobiology.
Would apply.
And I will spend a point of momentum for an additional die.
Okay.
And
that is the 2 successes you need.
Nice.
So, again, I'm not really a medical person, so if I'm butchering this, I apologize, but it's almost as if the melatonin, the thing that actually provides pigment to your skin, at least as far as I've been able to tell, something about it has hyper accelerated, meaning that it is trying to, in probably the easiest way I can explain it, it's almost like a reverse Michael Jackson disease, whatever he had going on.
Vitiligo.
Yeah. Where he basically, his pigment, he went from black to white, kind of the same thing, just in reverse, whatever that process would be called.
Something in the local environment is having an interesting effect on my skin pigmentation.
So can she see the tricorder's results?
Oh yeah, he'll just like sort of hold it so she can see it.
Thanks, mine must not be working correctly. Huh,
It
interesting.
happens.
It appears something is causing your I think it's melanocytes to multiply at rapid rate.
Indeed.
You're not experiencing any pain?
GM?
Nope.
No, I'm fine. No dulling of the senses, no loss of appetite, no fever. As far as diseases go, this is fairly benign.
She's gonna try and like reach up and like see if she can pull down his collar to see if there's any other area nearby.
And as you do, his entire back is black. And I don't mean like brown, I mean like pitch black.
Obsidian.
Yeah, obsidian would be a good color description. Yeah.
Yeah, so she'll get a piece and be like, "Oh, okay. We need to go back up to the Congo now." And she's gonna like check herself too.
So you check yourself, Alel? You're good.
Ah, yeah, classic denobulan immune system.
It must be all the genetic engineering.
Yeah, well, look who's in what chair now, Doc. Anyway, are you gonna like tell us to go? Because we kind of need to, and the captain said he needed us back there.
Well, as chief medical officer, in your opinion, are we a danger to the ship?
If there was to be a danger presented to the ship, it likely already would have happened, given the fact that Captain Nate and the captain have been conversing and touring the Congo. So while I still think his recommendation of quarantine, or what did he say again?
Decon and quarantine.
Decon, that's the word. While decon is a good idea, as long as you stay in sick bay, I think it should be fine.
Well, then let's go. And he'll turn to the Queen and say, "Your Majesty, I'm sorry, but we're needed on our ship. Perhaps we can continue this some other time."
Of course. If there's anything we can do to help, please let us know.
We will. Thank you for your kindness and your hospitality, and we hope to see you again soon.
Go in peace.
He'll nod. Well, let's get to the shuttle.
All right. So at this point, we're going to cut to just a little bit ahead because Jaro's shuttle gets there first. Jaro, what is your first stop after the decon chamber and the medical scan? What would be your first stop? And what I would say is your scan does come across as clean. So you are free to move about the ship.
Transporters.
All right, we're going to go to the transporter room. All right. So, Lee, you're not there, but Jaro, you walk into the main transporter room to see Ensign Shatalik basically going over every single centimeter of the pattern buffer with a tricorder. And as you come in, she kind of starts and maybe hits her head and goes, "Ow, ow," and her antennas bend inwards. "Ow, oh, hey, Hey, Chief. Still trying to track down that problem.
All right. What have you tried?
Um, Pretty much everything except spreading peanut butter on the buffers, sir.
All right. Don't do that.
Oh,
Uh,
so what Ensign Richardson said about the peanut butter wasn't true? It doesn't actually increase fidelity?
no. I've got a silly question, and he goes over to the console. And have you tried turning it on and off again?
Several times, sir, yes.
He's gonna do a quick diagnostic.
All right, roll me an insight engineering difficulty of 2.
Insight engineering. I will
Also,
use those. I will use those 2 momentum and give you a threat.
All right. And as you do that, this is my chance to say thank you for the hype train, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh God!
Wow, that's
Unfortunate.
yeah, that's only the one success there. So Jaro, same thing I told the captain at the top of the session. It should be working. Everything that you're looking at tells you that this should be working.
All right. He sends the ensign down to, and he calls out like 4 different pieces. And I just need you to get fresh replacements. We're just gonna replace these pieces on the fly.
Of course, sir. Can I rope others into this, or you just want to keep the circle small?
Just grab one more.
Grab one
Your
more.
discretion.
Got it. And she sprints out of the room, and I like to imagine maybe at that point the captain checks in. Over comms, of course.
Captain Lee to Ensign Jaro, what's your progress on the transporters?
We're going to be replacing 3 separate panels on the transporter. I don't know exactly what's going on with it, but we'll get it up and running shortly.
Are we certain that it's a problem with the transporters themselves, given that multiple independent investigations have revealed nothing? Could it have something to do with the subspace interference of that anomaly that the Zavik have described to us?
Well, I can definitely give that a shot. It's the first time hearing of it, sir. But yeah, okay. And he does, he basically thinks that he turned off the comm, and he's like, yeah, that would have been nice to know a few minutes ago.
And yeah, it's very funny because Jarl, when you take into account subspace anomalies, yeah. So here's your problem.
All right, he fixes it.
And
Excellent
yeah,
work, Ensign.
You literally push like 2 buttons and the entire system works again. It's that quick.
Would you like me to bring the away team up full transporter filter?
Let them bring the shuttle back in, but beam Dr. Alel and Dr. Datig, who I believe has been exposed to this pathogen, to sickbay.
Would you like me to set up a quarantine field there before I send them
thought
in?
that was implied.
Well, I just, there's certain things that I think I can. Never mind.
If you remember, my orders did stipulate quarantine and decon. That hasn't changed simply because the method of getting them on board the ship has changed.
Okay. Jaro out.
Thank you, Ensign.
And he'll beam them directly into a quarantine field within the sickbay.
Okay. And just because I feel bad, what about Mr. Fives? What are you doing with Mr. Fives?
He would need to be in there too, wouldn't he?
He needs the decon.
Okay. Then we'll move you 3 into the medical bay.
Oops.
All right. So Mr. Fives is already there, and then
Here I am, back in sickbay.
there you go. All right, and as you guys beam into sickbay, you beam into basically what is essentially the operating theater portion of sickbay. There's already a quarantine force field that has been erected around the area. And what you can tell, Alel, is that your nurse staff are currently running scans of everything they can think of to try and track down if this disease, affliction, whatever the hell it is spreading from the Zavik delegation.
She's going to take a look around the room. Does she see Captain Nate anywhere?
No, unless Captain Lee says otherwise. Captain Nate is with Captain Lee right now.
Yeah, we would have been maintaining that quarantine at the Ready Room and Bridge, having them up there.
Okay, she'll chime her badge. Captain, this is Alel. Where's Captain Nate?
I'm still in conversation with Captain Nate at the moment.
Okay, well, I need a favor. If we're going to narrow down the root of the issue, I need, since their biology is not in the Federation database, I need to gather a scan of a healthy Zavik and then one of Captain Nate. And did you say that he has anyone in critical condition?
He has expressed to us that 2 of his crew have fallen deathly ill with the disease. I will speak to him about arranging a transfer of medical data and possibly transporting these 2 individuals, if they're safe to move them, to our sickbay under appropriate quarantine. Give me a moment, please, Doctor.
Thank you.
And Lee would express that request to the captain, asking him if he would submit to further investigation by way of transportation down to sickbay, and a kind of sharing of medical data based on what they found and the progression of symptoms, everything they have on the condition of the patients. Also, if they'd be willing to transport one of them at least to our sickbay so we could examine them directly.
So everything except for the transport of patients, Captain Nate is down to do. When it gets to the topic of the patient transfer, he says, no offense, Captain, but until a cure is found, I am very hesitant to move anyone that is so greatly afflicted. We do not have the transporter technology that you do.
I can understand your hesitation and your reluctance. It is a terrifying technology, conceptually, being broken down molecule by molecule and then flung through space. I'm certain that, for now, Dr. Alel will have her hands full with the medical data that you provided.
Yes, well, guess I'll experience one of these books, if you don't mind.
Please be my guest. I recommend Aristotle's Metaphysics.
And as he picks up a book and begins reading, we go back down to sickbay, and at this point, Fives, I just want to say you're feeling great. You've checked yourself over, no sign of infection. Everything looks good.
Can I go now? I don't think I'm affected. I got nothing on me, except for the usual.
Well, I'm not either, but our XO here is, until I can narrow down exactly.
I'm spending 2 threat that as you say those words, almost like a creeping burn across his face, just the blackness, the obsidian blackness just kind of goes up his neck, and almost like a necrosis starts to spread across his face.
Wait, of Datig?
Of Datig, yes.
Oh no.
What?
Datig, you feel fine.
Oh, okay. It's
That's
a necrosis. I
amazing.
hear necrosis and I'm like, not good. You're not going anywhere. You could be a carrier. You're staying here.
You're not feeling anything from that, Doc? Lieutenant Commander?
Anything from what?
Computer, mirror.
Mirror appears.
That.
Oh,
You've got
This-
stripes, Doc.
this-
Lieutenant Commander.
this is remarkable. No, I feel physically. I feel. Well, I mean, healthy, hale, as always. I mean, it's probably my attitude.
Sure.
Because I find it funny. Datig, I need a fitness medicine, please. Difficulty of 1.
That's bad. Fitness is not good for me. Oh, actually, fitness is not terrible for me. Never mind. Fitness medicine.
Fun.
Okay, 2 successes. You get a momentum back. You feel fine. Carry on.
Now, Might I suggest a microcellular scan?
One
Yeah,
moment.
I'd love to know what your cytokinetics are, Doc. Lieutenant Commander. Why do I keep saying that?
I mean, I am a doctor, but in all fairness to Dr. Alel, let's not undercut her authority in sickbay.
Absolutely.
She taps her comm badge again. Captain, I'm anxious to get those patients here if they're in that bad of condition. And I do need Captain Nate as well. I can't exactly figure out what's causing this if I can't get in-person patients.
Well, Doctor, go ahead.
I've never been able to observe disease progression in real time like this. It's incredible. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking. You have an open comm channel.
Dr. Alel, are you sure there are no psychological effects of this disease as well?
I have one patient, 1 point of data to work off of.
The Zavik have already transmitted all of the information regarding the condition of their patients and the progression of the disease to your console.
Well, I have additional questions for them, such as the timeline of when they first started noticing symptoms. I can't work off of just data.
I'm well aware of that, Doctor. That's why I'm going to dispatch one of the other members of the Zavik delegation to sickbay. Unfortunately, they are unwilling to transport their sick officers because of the severity of their condition. However, I will ask if you may be allowed to examine them in person.
That would be
acceptable?
satisfactory. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Doctor.
Fives is moving maybe a little uncomfortably close to Dodig. Just the lights on his implants kick up as he just watches the progress of this.
So Fives, I've been waiting for you to do this. I've been trying to get you to do this all night, but you're finally doing it. So as your implants activate and you begin scanning, I would like you to roll me we'll call this a reason and a con, or a reason and a command. Hell, even a reason medicine. I don't think those are good stats for you, but any of those three, I'll give it to you.
These are going to be my worst rolls of the game.
Come on, let's do it now.
The difficulty will be a
gotta
3, and
have
you
faith.
do have a focus of observation here.
Wait, do I have something that I can help him?
If you tell me how.
Collaboration science.
Then yes, he can, if I remember how collaboration science works. Or is it collaboration science or collaboration medicine? Very key distinction.
I have collaboration science and cautious science.
Okay. So let's do this then, because I do want you to actually get use out of your talents. If I remember how collaboration works, you can have him use your science score in place of this roll. So what is Alel's science roll? Okay. So Fives, I think you're going to have to roll this manually because I don't think there's a way to do it on the sheet. But you're going to be doing a reason and science, so reason +4. And
so I'm going to add my own complication because I have the sensor implant talent. Can I turn that into a control science?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Okay. And then what am I rolling by scratch?
So let's see. Let's take a look at your sheet.
You could just roll it as control security.
Control science.
Because
you have a 4 in security. There's no reason to. You can fudge it by saying just rolling another 4 stat.
I have a 4 in science, so it's fine.
Oh, okay.
Oh, she's not helping at all. Just kidding.
No, she's totally helping. Totally helping. It's just
it's the intent.
With the implant here, if I succeed, I get an additional momentum to use on obtain information. Okay.
Do you want a momentum to roll 3 dice?
Yeah, I'm going to do that as well.
I think that would probably be good.
Control, science, 3 dice, specialization in observation. Go.
Well, that's 2 successes. You need 3. So, do you have determination here is the question.
Well, because I used it earlier.
Right, so your choice here is either to challenge a value, and basically change a part of your character, or you just sort of keep the 2 successes, and I get to introduce a complication.
I will challenge a value.
Okay, what are you challenging?
I'm challenging the value apes together strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go with, I'm going to say, you know what? Sometimes you have to trust yourself.
Okay. Basically going from the team to self. I got it.
Is that a roll, or do I just get 2 more successes for that?
You have the option of re-rolling those 2 zeros if you so wish.
I will do that. So it's just a control science with 2 dice instead.
You got it.
In before the complications.
Yeah, I was going to say, here comes the complications.
Double that 20.
Hey, there you go. There's the one success you need. Yay. So I'm going to whisper you something, Dag. And Jaro, it's the same thing I told you. But what you figure out there, Fives, is the same thing that that Jaro is. And you're both going to get it at the same time. And I think both of you are probably going to try and call the captain almost immediately.
Okay. So I could see Jaro the captain. And probably Fives is hitting at the same time.
So Lee will actually step out of his office or step towards the side where he can't be overheard from the captain, who is probably seated in the chair and reading, after having dispatched one of his officers by transporter down to sickbay, and he will respond to the hail from Jaro.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ensign.
Okay. All right. I wasn't expressly told I could do this, but I compared the last 2 scans of the Lieutenant Commander Dateg for when we went down to the planet, when we brought him back up, and there is a skin bite based parasite that's smaller than anything we've ever recorded.
And that was not filtered out by the biofilters as a result?
No, because nothing had ever been this small. I might be able to recalibrate it to filter it out, but not 100% sure why it didn't filter it. I'm just guessing because of the size of it.
Very good. Can you recalibrate the internal sensors to detect the parasites, or will focused medical scans be necessary?
I can definitely take a look. This baby does have some good sensors.
Very good. Please communicate your findings to sickbay so that you can liaise with Dr. Alel and Dateg, and pass that information on to her opposite number on board their ship.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Oh, and Jaro, very good work. Nice initiative.
Yes, Captain.
Lee out.
And we go back down to sickbay, where at this point, Dateg, you are a dark dwarf, because that's what Tellarites are. They're space dwarves, so now you're a dark one.
This is incredible. Dr. Alel, can you take a look at these findings?
Yes.
And as you're looking at the findings, Jaro's like, Doc, oh yeah, Jaro to Doc, Dr. LL.
Go ahead, Ensign.
Sorry, just excited. Found something in the transporter logs of Lieutenant Commander Dateg. And
Was it a parasite?
He probably recites exactly what you're reading. Oh yeah, it was a parasite.
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm looking at him right now. This thing is ridiculously metabolic.
Can you see that with your?
Yeah, the I can tap my feed into the tricorder, and if you want. But yeah, this thing is almost subatomic. I've never seen a life form like this.
Can you put it on the console? I want to see this.
Yeah, sure.
So she'll let them do like their thing, and she'll take the learnings and then go to her workstation and come up with a medication, probably like ivermectin or something. It's probably in the Federation Medicine database. She'll whip it up in a replicator and put one in a hypo spray and smile.
And yeah, if you want to inject Mr. Datig, that's going to be a control medicine, difficulty of 3. But you're in sickbay, so that goes down to 2. You have an advanced sickbay, goes down to 1.
Yes. Okay, so let me roll and then I'll do a little RP.
Okay.
What am I rolling again?
Control medicine, you only need 1 success.
And while Alel is doing that, Fives and Jaro are probably on the line talking about biofilters and stuff.
Yeah, and how to set up the scanners to detect it.
Yep.
That is 3 successes, so you actually get 2 momentum. And you do succeed. Whatever you are trying to do here succeeds.
Okay, great. So she'll like knock the little medicine vial into the hypo spray, and then she'll go up to Dot to be like, "You're not planning to become pregnant or nurse, right?"
There's something I don't know.
No.
You too.
What?
Okay.
I'm fine.
Well, we'll have to inoculate the whole crew.
Well, might as well start with me.
You didn't answer my question, sir?
No, I have no intention to become pregnant or nurse.
Very well.
I mean, it's a valid question.
I'm just doing my due diligence.
Medically very important. I salute you.
She taps her comm badge, says, "Captain, I think I found something. I'll transfer the replicator signature over to you, and we should disperse as needed, specifically to very critical patients first."
And Lee will take a look at the information that's coming across his terminal. Make sure to ask Datig if he has any intentions of liaising with some Xyrillians in the near future. Wouldn't want him to become pregnant. Take that.
I already asked, sir.
Good. All right. Excellent work, Doctor. That was remarkably quick work.
Yeah. So we need to talk about Fives and his implant, because that really did most of the work for me. Are you sure we need him in security? Can he be in sick bay most of the time? It would make my life like a lot easier.
Yeah,
There's Fives.
Entirely open to request a change of position, but that's not my decision to make.
Okay, well, I can put in the form. I know it's like 3 parts, and
I'm here. I do the duty rosters anyway, so we can get him a couple of shifts in sick bay a week. See how he likes it, as a trial basis.
I'm flattered, but I'm a surgeon with a phaser rifle, not a laser scalpel.
Just as long as you're using a medical phaser rifle, then.
I mean,
They
technically they're all medical. Oh man.
medical phaser.
Fine, I'll take a shift in sickbay.
Excellent.
Very good. I'll make the arrangements.
And Doctor, please arrange to have several doses of this antiparasitic transported over to the sickbay of the chem.
Captain, if I could interject for just a moment.
Please.
If we do, I would highly recommend that until we know that there is no danger to the native population of the planet, that the officers who receive this treatment are not permitted to return.
From our ship or from the chem, or both?
Both.
Obviously, we don't have jurisdiction over the operation of their ship. I will pass that suggestion on to their captain. We can run more detailed studies on the effects of this antiparasitic in the coming days.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Lee out.
And he just sort of looks at it and says, I'm sorry if you were going to say that. You get me in a sick bay, and I turn into a doctor again, you know.
Mm-hmm. She's gonna like take a look and see if the coloration is sort of clearing up.
It's almost shimmering across his body, where it's sort of flashing between dark and light, dark and light, dark and light, and then it stays lighter longer and longer and longer, and then it stays its normal color.
Have you ever visited the Hubishian baths?
No.
It kind of feels like that, actually.
Where is that? Is that Ryza? Because I've definitely been to Ryza.
Can we lower the medical field? I have to get back to my station.
Well, they're on Trill. The Trill homeworld.
Oh, right.
Hubishian baths.
When have you ever been to the Trill homeworlds?
I just ignored poor Fives.
Computer, release medical lockout, authorization 5s, Delta 525.
Force field drops, lets you through.
Oh no. But she's the boss in sickbay. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm lucky. Alel didn't do the medical override.
Fine. Anyway, sir, looks like you're clearing right up. She'll pat him on the cheek.
You know, I really have to hand it to you. You're not an incompetent.
Well, I feel like that's an insult coming from you still. Don't you usually argue with people?
Would you like me to argue with you? I could argue with you all day long. I would love to.
I don't have time. I have to trim my toenails. It's been more than 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah. Don't you know anything about denobulan physiology?
I mean, I know what's in the medical texts, but that part always seemed to slip my mind.
It's just standard hygiene. God.
I mean, I appreciate your dedication to hygiene. It's important in your line of work. Don't forget it.
Next time we'll have to time that so Dag isn't ready and does a real spit take. He came close. He came really close. But
well, if you'll excuse me, I will go to the bridge.
Hey, good luck. Somehow the doors to sickbay are also locked.
Well, you're the security chief. Why don't you override it?
Computer. Override door lockout. Authorization. .egg Alpha 6263.
Error. You do not have sufficient medical clearance to override lockout.
Dr. LL, would you please unlock the doors?
She'll just walk over and like scan her hand on the panel, be like, there you go.
Computer, replicate popcorn, Alel blend 47.
Then you grab some popcorn as you proceed out to your duty station.
We have to talk about your penchant for eating on the job.
Hey, these implants require a lot of carbs to maintain. My metabolism is nuts without them.
I don't care. The tactical console was all greasy last time.
I will replicate a grease absorbent material to cover the tactical console.
You're putting a hat on a hat. Just don't eat on the bridge.
I have a doctor's note.
From who?
Alel.
There's nothing on it.
What do you mean? It says 5s can eat on the bridge, signed Alel, and it's got popcorny fingerprints all over it.
And all of the eyes are dotted with hearts.
Because of
Look at they're even denobulin hearts dotting these eyes.
This is not over.
This is a 5-lobed heart. Do you see how cute that is?
All right, the attention to detail is admirable. But okay, how about something that's not greasy though and doesn't stick and doesn't get all walked into the carpet when you drop it on the floor?
I would be happy to take any recommendations you have under advisement, sir.
And as you think of advisements, we're going to skip ahead just a little bit. This is maybe about 5 or 6 hours later after the cure's been distributed. Captain Nate has received the cure, obviously thanked Captain Lee. All of that has been taken place. We actually go to a spot I don't think we've gone to on screen yet. We go to 5 Aft, which is sort of the premier lounge, or at least the main lounge where all the officers hang out on the Kongo. And Jaro, mostly for flavor purposes, do you take a spot by the window? Do you take one more towards the center of the room? Where would you be sitting specifically?
By the window.
By the window. All right, so I like to imagine you're maybe going over some pads, making sure that, not only has your staff been inoculated, but that you've compensated for the subspace effect. When in walks Ensign Rowan, and she sort of stops by the replicators, grabs a meal of what looks to be some form of a meat, some Cajun dish, and she sort of looks around. And the place is packed. Like, you probably have the only place in here that has an open chair. And she makes a beeline over to you and goes, "Hey, Ensign, can I sit here?"
He looks for a second. Yeah. I was almost done anyway.
No, I won't be a bother. And she sort of slides into the chair. I was reviewing the away team data, sir, and I think I figured out why you were immune and why Alel was immune.
And?
Well, let's just say that you know that what do they call it, the Smirnoff or some Smir something, the bee thing.
Yeah.
Apparently, the jelly kills the parasite.
Oh. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, it's great because that means the Ulki are just sort of naturally inoculated against it, which is great.
That's a very good find. Did you share this information with the doctor?
Well, no, I actually wanted to get your advice on this. Should I share it with the captain first or the Lieutenant Commander Dotig? I mean, obviously I need to tell someone, but who should I be telling first?
Well, you never want to skip the chains of command. So the most pertinent person would be the doctor.
Okay.
She is control. She is responsible for all medical issues on the ship. I wouldn't go to Dotag for much. But if you didn't get an answer from LL, I would probably then bring it up to Dotag, and then of course the captain.
I'll do that. But other sort of good news. Have you tried this new Ulki spice based on that same bee creature? It is delectable.
No, I've and he just looks down at his plate, which is really just standard, almost just rations.
And I think seeing that, Rowan actually takes like a toothpick or the equivalent thereof and spears a few cubes of meat and just puts it on your plate and says, there you go. Go ahead and try it."
Oh, no, I'm good.
Come on, you're skin and bones. Have a bite.
Far from skin and bones, thank you very much. But thank you.
Do you take a bite?
No.
And as she probably whines about you being a spoil sport, we're actually going to now go to the ready room where, Captain Lee, you're making your regularly scheduled contact with the Fleet Admiral. And as she sort of appears on your desk terminal, and you finish explaining at least the major points, she says, interesting. So, what do you plan to do about the whole Zavik uplifting situation?
Respectfully, Admiral, although I've conversed with the captain of the Chem regarding our philosophy of non-interference, well, that philosophy is still in place. It's not our right to intervene in the sovereign affairs of two civilizations that have entered into a consensual agreement.
I see, I see. And what about the next species they come across that they try to uplift? Are you gonna live with that on your conscience? I mean, what if they uplift the next Klingon or the next Dominion?
That's precisely why we can't intervene. We don't know what effect our interjection into a situation, into a species' natural development would be. The Prime Directive and its limitations on our ability to affect policy change is quite clear, unless you're ordering me to go against that regulation.
No, I just simply wanted to provide the antagonistic devil on your shoulder viewpoint.
Rest assured, Admiral, I agree with you in principle, and I've tried to impress the dangers of intervention on the Zavik. They're fundamentally undercutting the cultural development of a species. If some race had appeared 5,000 years ago and uplifted the Bajorans, our major cultural achievements, our art, our history, our music, our lightships never would have been created. That's damaging, even if we would have, well, not turned out to be the next Dominion.
Well, I can see that the Prophets have chosen the right captain for this job. Anything else to report?
Well, on a personal matter, you may be interested to know that Lieutenant Jarrow, I believe soon to be Lieutenant Jarrow, is performing his duties admirably. He is everything that Lieutenant Junior Grade Jana suggested that he would be.
That's good. That's good. Continue to monitor him, and of course, when you feel it is appropriate, you may do what we discussed.
Very good.
Oh, one other thing. I'm sort of telling captains this on a need-to-know basis, so make sure it stays need-to-know, but we have a new addition to Babylon Fleet.
Further reinforcements dispatched by Starfleet?
Let's just say I found this one in the timeline.
Interesting.
Basically, if you see the U.S.S. Bastet running around, they're one of ours.
I'm not familiar with that ship, but if I see a vessel of that designation, I'll doff my cap to them.
See that you do. Anyways, thank you for the report, Captain. Admiral out.
Admiral.
And as the screen goes dark, we sort of zoom out of your ready room. We sort of see the stars. We see the Ulki Prime, the red planet below, as the Kongo sort of swoops in across the screen. And that is where we will end today's session. Yay. So yeah, what did you guys think?
Oh, that was great.
That was fun.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody for.
Yeah,
everything.
we had
really
a
cool.
tremendous outpouring of support tonight. I do want to thank you all very, very much for not only the level 5 hype train, but the gift subs and the bits that occurred both before and after the hype train. So that was, well, to use the word hype, it was pretty hype. But yeah.
Oh, thanks.
And yeah, I think I definitely dig Jarl's new look. It's definitely pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, for once I'm wearing a uniform.
I know,
Yeah.
right? All right, well, YouTube, this is where I say goodbye, but Twitch, stick around because we're going to raid somebody. But YouTube, see you later. Bye-bye.